Hi, I'm Heather. Welcome to class. Today we're going to do a sequence that will involve standing poses, but primarily I'm wanting us to focus on timings, which is another way of saying holding the poses. Now, one of the reasons that we may hold the pose is not just to experience and gain benefit from the strengthening component of the posture, but to challenge our mind. There's an aspect of yoga known as Svadhyaya, self-study. And here, when we hold a challenging pose for a set period of time, we can come up against our mind. And so it's an interesting process to observe what goes on, what our patterns and habits are, and how we may want to avoid staying in the poses. In the Yoga Sutras, they talk about attachment and aversion, and these things can often show up in our yoga practice on our mat. And it's interesting to study. Before we begin, if you find this video helpful, be sure to like and subscribe. We're going to work from Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog pose, and we'll be striding the legs forward, one leg at a time, to then come into some of our standing postures. And we're going to hold for 30 seconds and perhaps 60 seconds per posture, depending on which pose it is. Let's start by stretching forward in Adho Mukha Virasana and establish yourself in the breath. So as you bring your head forward and down, yes, bring alertness to the action in your arms, but then become very aware of your breath, because we use the breath as a tool to help us navigate some of the stronger sensations and some of the challenges in holding the postures. So ensure that you are breathing smoothly, steadily, and if you can, you slow the breath down, all the while maintaining its steadiness. The steadiness that we work with here in this quieter posture is something that we want to bring into our more dynamic poses. Let's transition to downward facing dog pose. Inhale, shoulders forward, tuck your toes, exhale, lift up your hips. Establish yourself here and work with the arms straight, the legs straight. You can descend the heels as you're ready. But one of the things we want to be mindful of is, as we're working with timings, we can make our initial adjustments in the pose, but then after making those adjustments, we want to get as steady and still physically as we can. Any movement then in our body with minor adjustments could be an indication that the mind is not willing to move into steadiness. So let's challenge our mind to become as steady as the body as we hold our pose. Remember, we want a smooth, slow, steady rhythm of breath. Go on working the arms straight, the legs straight, sitting bones lifting, even though we might be trying to descend the heels. Let's walk the feet forward for Uttanasana. Take your feet as wide as the mat, come onto your fingertips. If you feel stiff, then you could place bricks underneath your hands, and perhaps you stay more in this halfway variation of Uttanasana. But if you are supple, you can take the hands out wide, fold down more, keep the legs strong and straight, maintaining the grip of the kneecaps. Feed the upper arm bones back into the shoulder joint. Draw the outer shoulder blades in. Press the shoulder blades against the rib cage. So there's an engagement there. But let the head drape down. Let go of the neck. Feel the torso releasing down, draping down from the pelvis. Smooth, slow,
Steady breathing. Keep the eyes soft. See if you can keep your gaze fixed on one point as we move through the poses. If the eyes shift from point to point, that may agitate the mind, or may be an indication that the mind is agitated and unwilling to settle, and we can use our gaze to help settle the mind. Now let's bend the knees. We're going to place the hands back to the front edge of the mat for dog pose. Walk your legs back. And we'll prepare to transition to Trikonasana, triangle pose. So we're going to stride the right foot forward between the hands. Look forward, and you can start to move the shoulders forward. Inhale, step the right foot forward. If your foot gets stuck halfway, use your right hand to encourage that foot further forward. And then we'll pivot the left heel onto the floor, place the right hand onto the ankle, come into Trikonasana, both legs straight, stretch the left arm up. Now I'm not doing a mirror image of you today, so hopefully you're not getting confused. We're over the right leg in Trikonasana. Feed the right femur bone into the pelvis, turn to look up. Rotate the left side chest up towards the ceiling. And go on pressing the right buttock forward and the left thigh back. Then as we come out of the pose, we're going to bend this right knee, take the left hand back down to the floor, place the hands for dog pose, stride back. So you come back into your dog pose, and then we'll step the left foot forward. Inhale, left foot forward between the hands, pivot the right heel onto the floor as you place the left hand onto your shin, straighten the left leg, turn the right chest up to the ceiling as you stretch the right arm up. And just watch that you're not sticking the buttocks back. So even though you're externally rotating this left thigh, you're turning the left thigh out, press the left buttock forward. Draw the tailbone in. And at the same time, press the right thigh back to plug the right heel strongly down. Look up. Get steady in your breath. Then to come out of the pose, you bend the left knee, sweep the right hand down, place both hands onto the floor for your dog pose, and stride back. So we're back in dog pose. Let's take a couple of breaths. Now for Parsvottanasana, lateral angle pose, we'll stride the right foot forward again. Inhale, right foot forward, keep the right fingertips on the floor here. As you press the left heel down, turn the body away from the floor, but watch this knee doesn't roll forward. Keep the right knee pressing back to your arm. Take the top arm up to the vertical, turn the chest up, look up, and then bring your arm over to the diagonal. Right knee presses back to the arm. Right buttock squeezes forward, and the tailbone's lengthening in the direction of the left heel. So as the tailbone lengthens to the left heel, press the left thigh back and plug the left heel into the floor. Then we'll come back to dog pose. So pivot on the ball of the left foot to place the left hand, right hand, and then stride back, dog pose. So you take a breath or two. Then we'll step the left foot forward between the hands. Inhale, left foot forward beyond the left fingertips. Pivot the right heel onto the floor, and as you turn the body away from the floor, keep the left knee pressing back to your arm and squeeze the left buttock forward. Take the right arm up to the vertical, look up, and then can you take the right arm to the diagonal?
Go on rotating the right side chest up towards the ceiling. And you continue to press both knees back, buttocks forward. Zip the navel up from the pubis as you squeeze the left buttock forward. Right thigh presses back, right shin presses back. You plug the right heel strongly. All the while you get steady in your breath. Then we pivot onto the ball of the right foot as we sweep the right hand back to the floor, 2 hands on the floor, dog pose. So we step back, we push away from the floor in our dog pose, get length on the front body as you press the head of the thighs up. Now, Ardha Chandrasana, half moon pose. Look forward to the hands. Bend the right knee as you step forward. Come onto the right fingertips. You can use a brick if you need. And then fly the left leg up. Left hand can come onto the waist as you start. Raise the left leg, but squeeze the right buttock forward as you keep this right thigh externally rotating. Top arm up. And find one point to fix your gaze so that helps your balance. And get steady in your breath. So we come up against the challenge of holding. Check in on the mind state. Observe your patterns, your tendencies, your habits. And then we'll come back down. So bend the right leg, long stride back as you sweep the left hand, right hand to the floor. Step back for dog pose. Left leg forward. Inhale. Reach the left fingertips to the floor or use a brick underneath your hand. Right hand can come onto the waist as you raise the right leg. Turn the chest away from the floor. And as you raise that right leg, remember we're keeping this left thigh externally rotating, but we're also trying to press the buttock forward. Left buttock forward, top arm up. Pivot the chest. So it's not just the lift of the right side chest to the ceiling, but we're also trying to move this left armpit chest around towards the wall in front of us. And again, we get steady. We steady our gaze. We steady our breath. And we intend to keep our pose as steady as possible. And then as we bend the left knee, we prepare to come down, long stride back with the right leg, place your 2 hands on the floor and come back to down face dog pose. Feed the arms and the hands into the floor to push away from the floor, torso lengthening away from the arms and the hands. Thighs pressing up and back. Establish yourself in the breath. Now let's walk the hands back to the feet and we'll do Uttanasana resting. You can drape your torso down, catch the elbows, but keep your kneecaps gripped, your thigh muscles gripped. And if you do feel stiff in the hamstrings, remember you can always put bricks under your hands so that you're not overdoing the pose. So we're using this as a resting pose, resting the head, resting the heart. Allowing ourselves to become quiet here. Now we're going to walk the hands forward again for our dog pose. And we'll be striding the right foot forward now for Parsvottanasana, the side intense stretch pose. Look forward. And then stride right foot forward between the hands as you inhale. And then as we straighten both legs, let's pivot the left heel down onto the floor, beyond fingertips, or put blocks underneath your hands. Pressurize the inner right foot down. Cut the outer right hip back. Keep both legs strong and straight.
And if you have the flexibility, you can walk your hands back, lengthen the torso along the right leg, forward down. Keep the shoulders lifting away from the head. Again, establish yourself in the breath, steadying your breath. Then bend the right knee, reach your hands forward, more to the front of the mat, stride the right leg back. We're back in our dog pose. Left leg forward, inhale. Come onto the left foot, onto the fingertips, pivot the right heel to the floor, straighten both legs, and cut the outer left hip back as you pressurize the mound of the left big toe down. And as you keep the legs straight, if you have the flexibility, then walk the hands back. So the elbows can bend as we lengthen the torso along the left thigh, forward towards the shin. Draw the outer right hip forward as you go on pressing the right heel down. So again, we come up against the challenge of holding. We may find there's strong sensations that we come up against. And then the question is, how do we manage that? How do we deal with that? Do we have an aversion? Do we want to flee? Come out of the pose early? Or can we stay? Can we get steady amidst the challenge? Bend the left knee. Reach your hands back to the front of the mat. Stride back for your dog pose. And so again, we can use our dog pose to find a sense of recuperation. The chest is long. Use that space for the breath. Now we're going to do Virabhadrasana III variation. We'll keep the fingertips on the floor. Look forward. Inhale, stride the right foot forward. Don't have to go all the way between the hands because we want to come onto balancing on that right leg and then be on the fingertips. Press back into the left heel, left leg parallel to the floor, but engage the navel to the spine. Upper sternum forward, shoulder tips back, and all the while you're breathing smoothly. Then bend the right leg, long stride back, place the hands, step back for dog pose. Left leg forward, inhale. Come forward onto the fingertips or use bricks underneath your hands and raise the back leg. Sometimes it's helpful to look back at the foot, make sure the foot's pointing down so there's an internal rotation of that right leg. So you're pushing back through the heel as if you're trying to push that heel against a wall. Engage the abdomen, navel to spine, and draw the upper chest forward as the shoulder tips press back towards your hips. And again, establish yourself in the breath. Smooth, steady breathing. Bend the left leg, long stride back. Press into the hands, back to dog pose. Head of the thighs, press up away from the rib cage. Now we step the right foot forward for Prasarita Padottanasana. Inhale, right foot forward, pivot on the feet in such a way that the feet are parallel now. You're drawing your chest forward. Let's work the hands to the heels. If you can reach, take the hands to the heels. If not, take the hands to the outer shins or use your hands on bricks. Lengthen the breastbone forward, inhale. Exhale, fold the head down. If you're close to the floor, you need to adjust where the feet are, whether you widen them, narrow them. But use your hands to help squeeze the outer ankle bones in So you're equalizing the weight through the inner heels, the outer heels. Then feed the upper arm bones into the shoulder joint. Engage the shoulder blades against the back body, lifting the shoulder blades up towards your hips. So as we're maintaining the pose, we're engaging the quadriceps, keeping the lift of the kneecaps. But as we exhale, we're allowing the pelvic abdominal area to retreat back towards the back abdominal wall. Then slowly raise the head up, come forward onto the hands. We're going to pivot over the right leg, so turn the right foot to face the narrow end of the mat. Press into the hands, stride back for dog pose. The same pose, but this time we're going to step the left leg forward between the hands. Inhale, left foot forward, pivot on the feet. Make sure one foot's not further forward than the other. Keep the feet parallel. Draw the chest forward. This time let's take the hands back between the feet. Reach the hands back. Press the heels of the hands into the floor if you can manage. Draw the head down. Crown of the head to the floor. Heels of the hands to the floor. Use bricks if you need support. Perhaps you need a brick underneath your head. Draw the buttocks up. Feed the upper arm bones into the shoulder joints, but lift the shoulders away from the head. As you're exhaling, feel the pelvic abdominal organs, muscles recede back towards the back abdominal wall. And as we come out of the pose, raise the head up, walk the hands forward, pivot on the left leg, turn the left foot to the front end of the mat, place the hands, and stride back for your dog pose. Feed the arms and the hands into the floor to rebound the torso up away from the arms and the hands, and go on pressing the head of the thighs up, shin bones back, outer calves in, heels down. Now walk your hands back to the feet once more, but bring your feet together. Inner legs, inner feet together. We're going to bend the knees, slowly come down into a squat. The heels might lift up a little bit. But as we come down into a squat, let's separate the knees. Have the inner heels in contact and draw the heels back down towards the floor. Press the knuckles of the big toes down and reach your hands forward for Malasana. So the heels are descending, buttocks descending, head descending, and the rib cage moving between the inner legs. Now, as we come out of this, we're going to come to sit on the buttocks. So you can walk your hands back in and then lean into your hands enough that you can come to sit on the buttocks, stretch the legs forward, and we'll finish with Paschimottanasana, our forward bend over the legs. Take the arms up, inhale. Feel the length through the torso, the front body. Exhale, reach forward. Now, whether you catch the feet, whether you use a belt, or whether you can reach to catch one wrist with the other hand behind the feet. Draw yourself down. Watch your shoulders don't pull up into the neck. Again, feed the upper arms into the shoulder joint and draw the shoulders away from the head side. Press the thighs down. Broaden the back of the thighs, the back of the knees. And go on lengthening the front body along the legs. And slowly raise the head up. Let go the grip of the hands. Come to sit up. Find Dandasana.
You may wish to move into Shavasana from here or continue on with doing some forward bending poses. That's it from me for today. Thanks for joining me. For more in-depth teaching, check out the video library on my website, heatherkitchenyoga.com.au. The link is in the description box below.